Let's make some Yeat. Hey guys, I'm Rice Patch. Welcome back to the channel. I'm sure you guys know that this guy has taken the internet by storm. This is Yeat, an American rapper from California or Oregon or New York. Anyways, over the last month, Yeat has been absolutely blowing up over TikTok. In fact, the Minion movie became notorious for featuring one of his songs on the soundtrack. I count money. You guys probably know all about Yeat already. I'm not gonna go into detail about that. How does he do it? How does he make his stuff? I got no idea, but we're figuring it out today. This video is gonna be a little different from my other videos. I usually have a project file already done and I'm just breaking it down. Today we're making Yeat from scratch. So you guys get to see every little step in chronological order as the track comes together. You can see LMMS is literally blank right now. I have no idea what to do. But we're gonna do it together. I'm really excited to see where this goes. She said she need a big old booty, call her price. My money big body, my money talking on. Okay, I think I figured out some things. So one of the things that I think Yeat is doing, first of all, the sounds that I'm hearing in his tracks, they're really simple and they're really static. I guess what I mean by that is that they don't change really, or there isn't a lot of complex sound design that goes into them. They're literally just like one wave. I heard in a couple of his tracks just saws or triangles or something like that. And I mean, as you guys probably know, the Money So Big lead is literally just a saw wave. So I think we can get away with doing minimal sound design, using really simple plugins and working a lot more on the arrangement of things. Yeat's melodies really stand out to me the most. So I'm gonna start with just a triangle wave as a melody and see what we can do with that. Let's set our BPM to standard rap tempo, 133. I think I like it in this key more. Let's turn the tempo up a little bit. And copy it once. I don't think we really need too much variation. I haven't heard a lot of variation in Yeat's music actually. It's all about the lyrics and the performance and all of that. I'm gonna go ahead and EQ this triangle just a tiny bit, maybe some highs. This sounds pretty lame right now, but I think once we're in context, it'll sound a lot better. I'm gonna go take a listen to some of his tracks again. Okay, so I'm back from that. What I'm getting is that there's usually some kind of like ambient chord layer, basically something that's sitting further back in the mix that gives the melody a context. So we're gonna try and aim for that next. I hear a lot of FM synthesis in Yeat's chords actually, which is kind of interesting. There's frequency modulation in Serum, Operator, probably, I don't know, in case you're following along in a different DAW. I'm frequency modulating a saw wave with a sine. So wave 1 would be a saw and wave 2 is a sine. And here I'm just messing around with it. Yeah, this sounds okay. I think I'm gonna work with it. I'm gonna take some of the harshness out of that and throw an EQ on it. All right, so that's what we have now. And then a reverb for that ambience. And it will also help it sit back more. All right, perfect. So far, I'm shocked by how simple this is. I've touched like 5 knobs. So once again, you really want to be thinking about the melody, making sure that it integrates well. So I'm actually going to create like a chord top line that follows the melody. Really simple. Try to think less, I think. I'm going to follow along with the bass notes. Basically what I think the 808 is going to be playing. I'm just going to lay it down right now. All right, and then let's see. I'm just gonna mess around and see what goes in between these. Yeah. I think that sounds pretty good. All right, I'm gonna turn them down just a bit so they fit behind the lead, and let's hear what it sounds like. We're on a something, I think. Maybe the lead needs a little bit more texture in it because the chords are pretty textured. I'm just gonna clone it and we'll do something else with FM. Here's this second lead. Whoa. Okay, so I've just turned on a +2 octave sine wave, and it's actually added a tiny bit of texture that I didn't even realize it would. So you can hear the lead is just a tad bit sharper now, which I kind of like. I'm gonna go ahead and play it with the original lead again. There's one more thing that I kind of want to try doing, and that's bit crush. So I'm just gonna filter out all of the lows, and I'm just gonna leave the high texture in there. Here's what we got so far. Sick. I'm gonna try and mix this in with the chords now, see if it works out. Okay, cool. I decided to low shelf the chords a little bit because they still were too harsh. But that's just the nature of things. Sometimes you gotta mess around with it a little bit. I don't think there's, I mean, It's still, I mean, it still sounds really simple.
I'm doing this on the wrist, yeah.
Okay, I think I want like an arpeggio. Add a little bit more like rhythmic diversity. Do we want it like in the middle? Do we want it like on top? I'm not sure. So for that, I'm gonna drag in this plugin. It's supposed to be a bass synth, but it has a slide and I wanna use that. So I'm turning on the dead signal, which means that the filter envelope is not gonna come into play. And it's just gonna be a flat sound like that. Let's put a little bit of distortion on it. Oh man, that's too much. We'll go ahead and just filter out the rest of the highs. That sounds pretty cool. It actually sounds really similar to the Money So Big lead. Why don't we try and spice this up? I'm a little bit satisfied with that. Let's see how it sounds. Yeah, that sounds pretty bad. Okay, never mind. Maybe we try it in the high register. I remember we were gonna do that. That's actually not terrible. We might even be able to simplify it even more. I made a second arpeggio, which is even more simple than the one that I came up before. And it works so well. You really don't need a complex arpeggio over, I mean, the rest of this stuff, which is relatively simple. I'm having second thoughts about the lead. I kind of want to emphasize some different frequency, like somewhere around here. Yeah, just a little bit sharper. Here's what it sounded like before. And here's what it sounds like after. Pretty subtle change, but I feel like adding a little bit of sharpness would really help. Okay, perfect. I think we're almost ready to move on to bass, actually. Why don't we just give it a try? All right, so I've got an 808 here. I just have to tune it first. Always tune your 808s. Remember when I said that I put the bass line in the chords? Yeah, so I'm literally just gonna drag the chords in, and then I'm just gonna remove everything but the bass line. Perfect. One thing I've noticed throughout all of Yeat's tracks is that there might be 2 or 3 different 808s in the same track. They're all super aggressive, very distorted. So I'm going to throw my favorite saturator on here, or my favorite distorter, M saturator. We're gonna blast the hell out of this thing. Yeah, that sounds about right. I'm gonna go really heavy-handed on the mid bass here. Yeah, that's sick. We could even go a little bit more. I'm gonna change the EQ a little bit. I've turned this into a low pass instead of a low shelf. All right, cool. So we have one 808, but I think I want to include like maybe a different type of 808 just for the concept. And I think I'm gonna do it with a synthesizer instead of like a sampled 808. I'm gonna choose triple oscillator again. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? Here's our second 808. Which is just a square right now, but we're gonna add a couple of effects, maybe fatten it up, and I want to replace the last 2 notes in the pattern with the second 808. So I'm gonna go ahead and draw that in. All right, and obviously they don't sound too great right now. I think it's because the low presence isn't exactly the same. I'm thinking the bass, like the low frequencies of the 808 should probably stay around the same, but we can play around with the high frequencies more. So I'm gonna try and match the low frequencies as close as possible, and then add more texture on the top. I think I've got something that works, but it needs some cleaning up. I think it's because this 808 actually has some stereo field in it. I'm gonna remove that. All right, cool. So now you can hear that they kind of work together. I'll show you the effects chain that I ended up getting. Basically, I started with the saturator because I put a saturator on the other 808. Next, I added a equalizer. I remember that I was really heavy-handed on the mids in the first 808. Yet another saturator. This one's just because I thought it needed more. It's kind of a joke, actually. It's literally just the same 2 plugins in like a stack over and over. This is how most of my sound design goes. You do need a little bit of change in this second 808 because the first one does have this kind of like whom, like round sound. Right. So I'm gonna go for that on the second one as well. Let's just do a little bit of filter modulation. I'm just gonna do a low pass envelope so it just gives it a little bit of roundness. This is in fact a key part of making a lot of 808s. Okay. I think we're gonna stop there. I'm gonna play it back one more time. There we go. We're basically done with all the melody and stuff. I think a lot of Yeat's tracks don't really have kicks, mostly focusing on the transient of the 808, but this one doesn't really have that much of a click, so I'm gonna add a click in it. Let's pick this one. And I'm gonna turn it way down so it kind of fades in with the 808. I'm gonna tune the kick to a point where it blends in the best with the 808. This is really just kind of a feel thing. Once you find that point, I'm pretty sure you'll feel it. Okay, so for me, the point is right here. This oftentimes requires a little bit of trial and error. All right, cool. I've just listened to some more Yeat tracks. The drums are really simple. We're just gonna grab like the most basic hat. Yeah, that's it. I don't think we need to do anything more to it. I don't even have to look at this. I'm just gonna turn the hat really far down to match what Yeat does. Now let's just throw in any old clap, I think, and we should be good. Great, yeah. So I'm liking what we have so far, but there's a little bit of aggressiveness that I seem to be missing here. I really don't know how I can do that, but we could try saturating it. I think that's done it, actually. So I've literally saturated all of the instrument tracks just together, even the 808. I think we were just missing a bit of texture. I think the saturator threw in just enough. Okay, so now I'm having third thoughts about the lead. I think it's still missing something. I'm gonna go ahead and just throw in an entirely different wave. It's just a saw with no effects on it, but it's 1 octave below the other lead. Man, this is starting to sound pretty hard, actually. I'm just having a blast right now, I'm not gonna lie. This is really fun. I'm gonna go ahead and really quickly just mix this all down. I also find myself wanting to tune the clap up a few cents. Like maybe like 20-ish, 30. For the chords, to keep them out of the center, I'm gonna go ahead and put a little bit of chorus on them. This is gonna help them kind of sit more on the outside of the mix. It's not enough to like fundamentally change the sound. It's enough to make them sit further out on the stereo field. Our main lead sound is this triangle here. And then we have these 2 secondary layers that I added later. And then the other one is the saw, the under layer. I'm gonna pan these 2 since they're quieter, one to the left and one to the right. Again, just to open up a little bit of space in the center, usually where vocals would go. Go ahead and throw in a few more highs as well. We're gonna cut out what's supposed to be kind of the dip that vocals would usually go into. Hold on, the last thing that we need. I need to sign up for it? God damn, all right. Thank you, Reddit. I know this song was already turned, but here's a bell. Tuning this bell was probably the hardest thing out of this whole track to do, but I think I've eventually found it. And with that, I think we shall conclude the video. Okay, now I gotta export this project. I gotta title it something with the E, but like with the dots over it, you know what I mean. Thank you guys very much for watching. I had a really fun time doing this. I've never really made anything from scratch while trying to like record it at the same time. So this was a new experience to me. Hopefully I did an okay job and you guys were able to follow along whatever software you're using. I'm Rice Patch. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to see more of me, don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.